How you doing? It's Friday live. Friday live from high atop the Exchange Tower in downtown Toronto. Welcome to another Midas Letter RAW. I will be joined here shortly by the lovely and talented Nika Domi as my co-host, but for the moment you're just going to have to look at me. While you're looking at me, I'm going to take this opportunity to twist up a little spliff so that I can become more entertaining as the afternoon wears on. This is some skunk number one that I grew. We harvested this way back in July. I'm going to roll a small bud because I like to save the biggest buds for last. But anyways, so yeah, we have lots going on. And now, without further ado, here is the lovely and talented Nika Domi! Hi, Nika.
Hey everyone. I'm here. I wasn't late.
I wasn't excited.
I'm excited to see what you're doing over here.
Well,
look at that.
What I'm doing is I'm twisting up some weed. You'll notice that I don't use a grinder because I think that a grinder is, well, as soon as you use a grinder, you get all the little stocky bits that I'm going to pull out of my bud. You get that in the mix when you use a grinder.
And then it pokes the paper.
And it pokes the paper, good point, but it renders the quality of the smoke much lower than if you don't take the time to just shred it with your fingertips and be delicate with it.
You can just enjoy it and, just get the feel for your bud.
This is part of the ritual.
Exactly.
The touchy-feely.
It's all about the ritual.
It's all about the ritual.
Yes.
I know. I wonder how many people actually smoke weed just for the ritual.
I know.
Like, I know that when I was young and I was smoking weed that was way too strong for me, and I would get so paranoid that I'd be like, oh my God, everybody's looking at me, everybody's thinking about me, I want to go home, at the clock, I need to get drunk, oh my God. I was so into the ritual. I had like the big box of roach clips, 50 different rolling papers, 3 different kinds of weed, 2 different types of hash oil, a couple different kinds of hash. Man, we had it going on back then.
And that's, I think I see a lot of people have these nice trays and like these really fancy, accessories. So
and now
really
what do we
makes
got?
it fun.
Dab rigs, we got vape pens, we got all these things that sort of take the ritual down to no ritual whatsoever.
Oh, maybe we can make a new ritual out of it somehow.
Let's make some rituals, shall we?
Let's make some rituals. I'm all about the spirit,
I love it. Our first ritual is we're going to talk about the cannabis stocks because
that's our ritual too.
That's our ritual. And we don't do that while we're high. We do that before we get high. Then we get high after that because, well, especially if our stocks have done poorly.
Yeah, or not.
Then we need to get high to take the pain away.
See, cannabis is so good for when you're sad, when you're happy. It's good for pretty much any mood.
And then if your stocks are up, you smoke it to celebrate. Woohoo!
Yep.
God, I love the cannabis market.
Yep.
Except today. Today is okay, but it's not exactly going our way, except for our flagship client, this little guy right here, Halo Labs. Have you watched them trading today? They're on
they
fire!
Are up. Yes.
Yes, they're doing very well. Anyways, Halo Labs, visit them at halocana.com. I'm going to call them one of the premier producers of extracted cannabis products on the planet. And I can say that I know that because I have visited their facilities and tested the product, and I can tell you. I even got my mother to smoke some of this.
No way.
I got my mother to smoke a dab tab and a shatterizer.
Really?
And she loved it.
Maybe that's what I need to get my mother to do. Hey, Mom, if you're listening,
She
you're
loved
going to
it.
be smoking.
She thought it was fantastic. She's like, oh my God, I got such a great buzz off of this. I'm not paranoid. I'm not. And I'm like, yeah, Mom. Well, that's because you're smoking live resin, which is a whole plant extract that's basically got all the terpenes and flavonoids that Mother Nature intended you to smoke with that stuff.
So the dab tabs have different, different qualities to them, different like the sativas or the indicas.
The dab tab is a ceramic sponge, basically an engineered ceramic sponge that can absorb whatever extract you want to put in it. So they can make anything you want, and so they have dab tabs with pure THC isolate. They have dab tabs with a CBD isolate mixed with some reintroduced terpenes.
So you choose what you put on it.
They make certain varieties which are available for sale under certain brands throughout stores in states where it's legal.
Yes.
They also do white labeling for other companies that produce their own extracts where they can put dab tabs. They can load dab tabs with their particular brand, brand it their way, and Halo Labs gets a cut along with their partner Elo. So this is their clever way of infiltrating the entire recreational cannabis universe in the United States without actually having to go in there and grow weed and be their own thing. So this is why, again, I think Halo is probably one of the better opportunities out there.
I hear that, especially in California, and a lot of the millennials and the younger people, you know, they like to vape a lot. They like that. They prefer it apparently over just smoking like this. So
really,
yeah, I heard that if you're in California, somebody told me, I don't remember who told me this, but they said they just wanted to smoke a blunt, and they're like, "Are you kidding me? Who does that? Like we vape now, and when they pull out all these devices and stuff." So it's depending on the region, I think that things are really changing for that. Yeah. So,
yeah. Well, certainly.
So it's actually cool to do that.
Smoking weed in a joint is probably the least efficient way to consume cannabis. But again, it's the ritual of lighting it up. And
yes.
So you'll notice that I roll pretty small joints because
same with me.
I left the competition for getting being the highest person in the room. I left that behind 20 years ago or so. So now I don't smoke to be the highest. I smoke to feel fantastic.
Feel
and
nice.
Much as I know you'd like to watch me smoke this on the air right now.
Everybody's probably anxious, like, is he gonna light it? Is he gonna
I'm no Elon Musk. I don't need to get high in public. Come on now, that's not quite professional. But anyways, let's talk about what's coming up today. Today, we're going to have the news with your news nurse, James West.
Ooh.
That's me.
You're the news nurse.
I'm the news nurse today. I'm going to read it live in just a minute. Chris Naprawa steps in and talks about what's been happening with Chiron Life Sciences. Khiron is another one of our clients and sponsors, and we love them to death. And today, he's going to talk about some of the great news that they've had. Todd Harrison from CB1 Insights is here. And Todd, as you may or may not remember, is probably one of the most astute commentators on the market. He runs a investment enterprise out of Flushing, New York. I believe it's Flushing, I think he told me. But he's going to tell us about his how his sentiment has not really changed. He still is a big supporter of the U.S. MSOs, but I'll let him do the talking when we get to that. Right now, let's see, without further ado, I am going to do my best to read the news. So right now, here is me with the news. All right. Halo Labs announced a partnership today with Cannabis, which provides distribution across the entire state of California. This is one of California's largest full-service distributors, and they supply California's dispensaries with Halo's full assortment of branded products. The agreement also provides Halo with distribution coverage across the entire state of Cannabis Cannabis currently distributes over 60 brands to more than 650 dispensaries throughout California while providing an intuitive online platform that brings simplicity to the cannabis supply chain as a technology-driven, cannabis-compliant software system. Oh my gosh, I could read all that, but that would be just all about Halo then. Believe, not B-E-L-I-E-V-E, but B-E-L-E-A-V-E, has announced the sale of their popular blue strain. Oops, my computer thing just popped out. Their Blue Dream strain. That's interesting. I've never heard of a company selling a strain. Anyways, Believe trades on the CSE under the symbol BE, but they have announced on July 31st that they commenced the sale of its Blue Dream strain. Oh, I see. They're selling Blue Dream to medical patients. So they've got a strain called Blue Dream, and now they're selling it to medical patients under the Believe Cannabis Corp medicinal brand. Blue Dream is a sativa-dominant hybrid that originated in California and has achieved a legendary status among West Coast strains. The product is a cross between blueberry and sativa haze. That's an interesting way to say that. Anyways, Blue Dream delivers a sweet berry aroma redolent of its blueberry parent and is a popular daytime medicine for patients requiring a high THC strain. Awesome. Congratulations, Believe. Canopy Growth announced a strengthening of their position as global cannabis research leader by entering into an agreement with Beckley Canopy Therapeutics. The acquisition of Beckley Canopy will allow Spectrum Therapeutics to continue expanding its medical cannabis leadership around the world, strengthening their foothold in the UK and more broadly across Europe, a region that wants to see stronger clinical evidence around cannabis-based medicines. That's according to Mark Zakulin, who is the CEO currently of Canopy Growth Corporation. So there's almost never a day where Canopy doesn't come out and make some great announcement about some new awesome thing. Organogram has been conditionally upgraded to the TSX. Ooh, yeah,
Wow.
no longer a TSX venture participants. They are going to start trading on the TSX, and that is going to start happening. Oh, I can't read that fast. Anyways, they're going to start trading on the TSX senior board. They already trade as a NASDAQ Global Select, so this upgrade to the TSX is going to essentially turn them pretty quickly into a large cap TSX player, I think, and large cap NASDAQ player eventually. So that's pretty cool. Delta 9 also received conditional approval to list on the TSX. Delta 9 is the, I believe, Manitoba-based company that has done a lot of things, has been building their business quite diligently out there and doing so quietly, though they have accomplished some great things. We're going to have Delta 9 back on the show very soon. Alcanna. Now this is pretty big. Alcanna announced 21% sales growth increase in the second quarter in 2019. If you will recall, Alcanna is the subsidiary, I don't think it's a wholly owned subsidiary of Aurora yet, but they are, I believe, 20% owned by Aurora. And this is the company that was the biggest distributor of liquor products in Alberta, or one of them rather, and has switched over a large part of their business to sell cannabis products. In fact, Alcanna is the owner of the store on Queen Street in Ontario called, is it Nova? I've been in it, but I can never remember where I was by the time I've left. But isn't it Nova Cannabis at Queen just past Spadina?
I'm not sure. I know they have Honey Pot there on Queen.
There's Honey Pot just down the street, yeah.
Okay, so there's another.
This is another one.
Yeah, I've never
But
been
that's
there.
pretty interesting. 21% sales growth in the second quarter of 2019, indicating that there's some, there's some future out there for retailers. That's good.
Of course there is.
That's very good. CanTrust.
CanTrust?
CanTrust announced the withdrawal of their auditor's support. Now here it says the headline that they put out is report, but I think that's support. So CanTrust, among the slings and arrows it is suffering at the hands of fortune. Now its auditor, which was KPMG, has essentially announced that they've abandoned ship and can no longer, have withdrawn the report, their last report basically supporting the financial statements of CanTrust. So things going from bad to worse for CanTrust. I sympathize with all of the shareholders of CanTrust. I was one, but fortunately I left that party and never went back after Brad was terminated. But yeah, that's just so sad. What a great company that has gone absolutely up in smoke, and I don't mean in a good way. 48 North shipped its first order of cannabis to the Ontario Cannabis Store. They announced today. That's fantastic news. We just had Allison on yesterday. And today's shipment, according to the press release, is the beginning of the company's relationship with the Ontario Cannabis Store. Looking ahead, 48 North has agreed to supply 1,200 kilograms of sun-grown outdoor organic cannabis from Good Farm and 180 kilograms of high-quality craft indoor-grown cannabis from its northern cultivation facility, Delshan. Today's shipment pertains to the 180 kilograms from its indoor facilities. Wow. Allison says 48 North is looking forward to sharing their high-quality cannabis with Ontario's consumers. Congratulations to 48 North on that. 48 North is one of my favorite companies because, well, what can I say? Allison is one of my
We have
favorite
an
people in
awesome
the
lady
industry.
leading it. Yeah, they're up 6% today.
They are up 6% today. Well, that's great. We should actually now let's really wow the audience and go look at our cannabis indexes. It's not like we don't do that every day. The large cap index is down 2.53% today at 86.44. So considering its last touched a high of just over 12,483 back on Tuesday, April 30th. To now be trading at 8,644 is a drop of like, what is that, 30%?
Wow.
Oh, yeah,
My
right,
goodness.
okay. You know what, if you want to transmit to the people in the other room, you have to turn on your NDI, which, oh my gosh, it's gone missing. There it is. And let's make sure I'm on the right. No, I'm not. I'm on the wrong. There we go. Yeah, so Midas Letter Cannabis Index down 2.53%. The small cap cannabis index, now wait a sec here, it's showing a bump of 21.48%. Now what the hell's going on there? You know why I think this is because I think that Organigram moving to the TSX index has taken the wind out of the sails of the venture index and added it to the small cap index because that's, well, wait a sec, it would have been small cap to begin with. Let's take a look at what's going on over here in this index page here. Something's way out of whack. The index is up 21.5%. Okay, so I'm going to assume that some company has been added. This is odd. This is not how an index should behave. So let's just disregard those for now. 21. How could the small cap? Yeah, that's what we have to say about that. Moving right along.
That was funny.
Anyway, so yeah, Chris Nika was so kind to stop by. He's the president of Chiron Life Sciences. Here's a conversation we had.
Chiron Life Sciences Corp. is a Latin American-based pharmaceutical company that develops and commercializes medical cannabis products. Khiron has core operations in Colombia and is fully licensed in the country for the cultivation, production, domestic distribution, and international export of both THC and CBD medical cannabis. In May 2018, Khiron listed on the TSX Venture, becoming one of the first Colombian-based medical cannabis companies to trade on any exchange globally. Chiron Life Sciences Corp. is listed on the TSX Venture under the ticker symbol KHRN.
Chris Nika joins me now. He's the president of Chiron Life Sciences, trading on the TSX Venture under symbol KHRN. Chris, welcome back.
Hello, James.
Chris, amazing development in that AltaCorp Capital has issued this research that puts a $6 price target on the company. And I'm curious as to how do you feel about that and what motivates them to be so bullish on the company?
Well, that's our third analyst to cover us now, and now we have analyst consensus, so we kind of speak those consensus numbers. I think our numbers will look good for Q2 and be pretty close to what the analysts have for us. But I think as the word gets out and people start to understand that the cannabis is clearly a global business, and we're one of the leaders, if not the de facto leader for Latin America. So the analysts are starting to catch on.
Yeah, no doubt, eh? Okay, so you've got so many different things happening, and I see so many press releases, I can barely keep up with what's going on. But so now you've got a firm plan let's just start with Dixie, for example. You've got this firm plan to start selling Quita products throughout the United States in your partnership with Dixie. That sounds like a huge revenue proposition.
Yeah, it's the biggest market in the world. It's a crowded market, but it's a big market. We've got an excellent product. People really like it. They really like it here. Stay tuned. Maybe once we can sell it here in Canada, we'll have it here as well. But Dixie's done an amazing job. They announced their joint venture with Arizona Iced Tea. That's a massive consumer packaged goods company. It's one of of the first ones to do a deal like this. That's not like their business is in decline like some of the alcohol or tobacco companies. This is a massively profitable consumer packaged goods company that will benefit us as well, and the JV that we have with them.
Yeah.
The other news that we put out recently that was really, really important was our move into the PGP business with Sura EPS. That essentially says, there's a lot of words in that press release, but what it essentially says is that now we'll be able to cover cannabis with insurance in Colombia.
Right.
And that's not something down the road. That's going to happen right away.
So that's an insurance company paying for cannabis as a medicine for an initial 450 patients.
Yeah, and they cover 3.2 million lives.
And that's actually, I just want to clarify this, because for me that's significant. How many other countries in the world have insurance agencies paying for registered patients' cannabis use?
Not a lot. That's a great question, because I actually don't know the answer to that. I know there's a little bit of that here in Canada. I think Manulife and a couple others. I think first responders also have some sort of compensation for cannabis here in Canada, but not a lot of places, certainly not in the United States and most of Europe. So once again, Colombia kind of leading the way in that, and that's something that we hope to replicate elsewhere. But it speaks to the sophistication of the team that we have in Colombia. We're not just talking about grams and tons and bales of hay down in Colombia. This is people working on sophisticated deals with insurance companies, doing complicated actuarial science to come up with these deals.
Yeah, no, that's incredible. So obviously the potential for Quita products to go global now is a lot more credible than just merely being an expressed ambition of the company previously. So is Quita products next going to be available in Europe?
Yeah, I think you're going to see them in Europe. We also announced that we did a deal with Exito. Exito is a massive retail chain in South America. They're owned by a group called Casino. They've been listed, I think, for 120 years as a public company. They have 225,000 employees globally. They're a massive, massive retailer with huge operations in Europe and around the world. So, that relationship is starting with some stores in Colombia, and we'll see where it goes.
Wow, fantastic. Okay, so, you've got this thing going also in Uruguay, which it sounds like more of a medical research project.
Yes. Well, so the work that we're doing in Uruguay, we acquired that amazing team there. We're going to go into the cultivation business. The plans for that are all done, and we're going to start working on the physical properties there. But building those relationships with medical associations, universities, that's something that we've been doing for the last couple of years. It's a really great way to build awareness, education, credibility within the medical community, and that's the program that we're going to stick on. And that's very much about how we get into Brazil as well down the road. And Brazil's probably the furthest off as far as legalization for South America for medical, but it's also the biggest opportunity. So we've got to do everything we can to prepare for that.
Yeah, you bet. I know that there's a conference on Tuesday that Anvisa, the Brazilian medical organization, is putting on. Does that sort of, is the read on that Anvisa is finally sort of moving in the right direction a little bit? Have they picked up the pace at all towards really broadening access to cannabis?
Cannabis in Brazil is like the opinion about medical cannabis kind of rest of the world. It's kind of somewhere in the low 60% range right across the board. So politically, it's a very, very safe place to tread. Brazil's got other problems and things they have to deal with right now as well.
Sure.
But there's no real opposition to cannabis. There's over 10,000 people on the waiting list for compassionate care right now in Sao Paulo.
Wow, that's incredible. So I would think that, as has been the case in most countries around the world, the emergent necessity for cannabis as a medicine by people who are in dire straits now, needing it now, has been the greatest impetus to drive that legislation through. And obviously Brazil is like, if it goes legal, that just opens up everything for you guys in terms of like all of Latin America.
Yeah, I think so, and I think, and we're building infrastructure not only in Brazil and Uruguay. We're looking at other countries in South America. We're already in Lima. We're in Santiago, Panama City, Mexico City. We just did another medical conference this week in Mexico City. The reception is enormously favorable. So we just have to keep working with the regulators, working with the doctors, working with the medical associations, and keep building that awareness as the regulation keeps up with the demand that's already there. The demand that we see in Colombia today, I'll say right now that I think my demand will outstrip my supply for the foreseeable future.
Wow, that's fantastic. So on the supply side, do you have plans to expand production at all in Colombia at this point?
Yeah, we've already said that we're going to at least double production. Our processing capability, we've put far more money into the laboratory and the processing capabilities than into the cultivation itself.
Sure.
We have probably 10 times more processing capability than we have cultivation capability right now. But even today, licensed and approved and ready to go, that's enough to serve about 100,000 patients. At 100,000 patients, that's about $50 million in revenue for us. Wow. And I think there's no doubt that there's 100,000 patients in Colombia for us.
Yeah, no doubt. Okay, Chris, well, that's an awesome update as per usual. Follow us on Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn, and Facebook. Make sure you never miss a show by subscribing to our YouTube channel and clicking on the little notifications bell. If you're interested in getting monthly actionable investment ideas in the cannabis space to your inbox, subscribe to the newsletter at midasletter.com. Hey, somebody was asking if I got my results back from EndoCanna, my DNA test, and so I go on to the EndoCanna Health website to track my package, and it says it's been delivered today.
Exciting.
I know! So maybe they're at the front desk here. Maybe is there anybody who in the control room who can dash out there and find out? And I'll open up my DNA results live on camera.
So cool.
Yeah, it'll be wacky.
And if not, on Monday, right?
If not on Monday, yeah, but what a great way to end the week is with my DNA results that tell me that actually I'm probably like half gorilla and half like poodle or something wacky like that. Yeah, so what have you been up to, Nika? How's your life going?
Oh, pretty good, actually. Now I'm here, and so I'm taking a pause with writing the book, but I'm actually...
but it's stopping you from writing your book?
That's okay, because I know that in the universe, the timing is, kind of correlated to how it's supposed to be. So I trust the timing and I trust the process, so everything is how it's supposed to be.
Okay, and what's your book about?
It's about psychology of interactions. So everything that I've learned in my university career in social psychology, I have put it into the book in a more simple terms. So for anybody to be able to understand how their mind operates on automatic processes when they are in the presence of other people. So when you're, say, in the public or in the presence of others, you would behave sometimes in a way that you'll leave and you'll be like, oh my God, why did I say that? And why did I agree to this?
Like blowing smoke up people's asses. Why am I such a browner?
No. So that's what it's about. So it's taking psychological theories that are proven, that are empirical knowledge, university taught, just to tell people how we behave and to make us more aware of our own mind and our own processes inside. So it's going to be very simple to read, I hope, and it's going to be good for anyone. It's going to be good for older people, younger people, professional people, anybody. Students.
Okay, so we'll have to, do I get an advance copy?
Oh yeah, for sure. So it's called Person to Person, and if you want more insight, you can go to persontopersonbook.com and you'll find more information there.
Oh, that's awesome. Nika, you made an interesting comment earlier about online surveys and surveys, telephone surveys. Opinion polls. Yeah. So your psychological background gives us some insight on that. What is your impression of opinion polls? So
basically, especially with all the political situations going on everywhere, everybody is pulling to their side, right? So there is politics, and not only companies too have experienced psychologists, or advertisers have experienced psychologists that they use to be able to figure out what is the best way to deliver the message to the people and have their compliance or have their disagreement in a certain way. So you could actually ask the same question to the same group of people in two different ways and get completely two different answers from the same people. And how could that be possible? So researchers are wondering, like, how the hell is this possible that the same group of people agree and disagree to this one thing? So for example, I'll give you an example. I actually have it written from, there was a study done that has asked the same group of people how important of a goal of educating children is it to them to think for themselves. So how important is it for education to teach children to think for themselves?
Yes.
And they gave this questionnaire to a group of people. So 62% of people answered that it's very important for children to be taught to think for themselves. So now they've repeated this study with the same group of people, and they didn't give them this question. They gave them a blank piece of paper and they've asked them, can you list the most important things that you think children should be taught through education and through school? And you know that only 2% of people have listed something similar to thinking for themselves. So now when they were given a blank piece of paper and had to, from the top of their head, list what's the most important thing for them, none of them really thought of that. But here, when they were actually given that question, like the majority, over 62% of people have said that that is the most important thing for them. That is their core belief that children should be taught to think for themselves. So how do you go from over 62% people agreeing to this to 2% in the same group? You get it?
Yeah.
It's like, it's crazy. It's one idea and you have only 2% here and a majority here.
So what does that mean for our real world experience
So what that
in investing?
means, when somebody is doing, and well, maybe, I don't know if in investing, but for example, when there's opinion polls, how many people disagree that marijuana should be legal? If you ask how many people think that marijuana is terrible, you will get a more negative response from that same group of people asked, rather than if you were to ask them how many people agree that marijuana is amazing. You'll get a more positively skewed answer.
Really?
Yes.
Because just the use of the word amazing
Exactly.
confers a positive vibe that people pick up on and respond to in their own thinking.
Exactly. So our automatic processes in our mind are taking control so often, more often than not.
Oh.
So yeah, so for example, if you have a question, how good of a job is the Prime Minister doing? You'll get a more positively skewed answer, as if you were to ask how bad of a job is the Prime Minister doing.
Ask me that question. I can give a better answer to
It's
that
called
than the other
message framing. So
Sure.
you can, if you're a skilled psychologist, if you're a skilled advertiser, if you're a skilled politician, you're going to be able to frame the question in a way to get the desired response that you want.
So like, these aren't the joys you want. You want to go home and rethink your life.
So yeah, so it's very, very tricky. That's why we have to be very careful how we read these opinion polls, because
So basically what you're saying, they're not to be trusted.
they're not to be trusted at all. Yeah, so
All right.
like they're saying, marijuana could cause, this brain damage in teens, or,
Yeah.
this many people agree that it can. Well, who was asked? How were they asked? Can we now do a different study to eliminate the bias and reverse the message framing and see if we actually are getting the right, true opinion of the people?
Okay. Well, that's
So,
interesting.
we have to be very
You know what
careful.
I think about opinions.
Yeah, exactly.
Anyways, let's check in with I've got another camera in the Midas Letter residential garden here. And yeah, they get
Well, we
their
got
little
a good
intro
opinion
clip
on
there.
that one.
And yeah, here
Todd
they
Harrison,
are.
CEO
Well,
and
there's
founder
one.
of CB1 Capital,
Oh,
joins.
what's going on? Anyways, box in box, blocking NDI. There they are. There's the two out of 4 girls. These girls are all ACDC.
AC/DC.
ACDC is a high CBD strain. There we go.
Are you playing AC/DC for them too when you
No,
leave?
but hey. I hit the set. Every too long, I'm glad to be back. Yes, I'm.
Well, you know what? Speaking of that, actually there is also studies done that plants respond very positively to certain sounds rather than others.
Really?
So if you play, like a nice vibrational sounds for like maybe classical music or something very calming, or reggae music,
What
something
about
very positive.
good vibrations from the Beach
Exactly.
Boys? Beautiful
Yep,
vocal harmonies layered up in thirds and sevenths. I mean, good.
Try
good
it.
vibrations.
Leave them a radio
She's
and see
picking
what
up
happens.
Good vibrations. Actually, I can put it on a speaker so that those plants can hear what I'm saying, but I don't think that's what you mean.
Yeah.
But yeah, I should play some music for
Yeah,
them. Problem
there
is
is
that
studies
all the
done.
fans in there are so loud.
That's okay. They'll pick up the vibration from the music.
You think so?
They're smart. Yeah.
Okay. Well, we are going to be having a harvest party here on the set at Midas Letter on December 17th or 18th is my estimated harvest date for these girls because that's the night of our Christmas party. And because these are high CBD plants, I don't think that there's any harm in consuming a little CBD when you go out to a party. As long as you're not going to get behind the wheel and drive. Nobody likes that. No driving. Ain't allowed. Don't do it. That's all I got to say on that.
Well, I'm excited for the party.
Yeah, I'm excited for the party too. The party, where is it going to be? Well, we're going to pick a few winners from our audience to come and join us at the party.
Wow.
Here's a hint. If you're a viewer and you've already been to our last party, then you know where the Christmas party is going to be and you're invited. How about that for a mystery? Yeah. Yeah, okay. But let's take a look around the cannabis universe now in this last half hour of trading. I'm going to, I want to look at, okay, we're not going to look at the small cap index because something's out of whack there, but we will look at the CSE index, and I'm curious to see how, you know what I wanted to do is I wanted to look at the share price of CanTrust, just to see what today's announcement did to it. I think they're talking about ceasing trading at 315. Look at that. Why is CanTrust trading at 315?
Wow, look, wait a second. What happened here?
I know, it makes no sense.
Did you see that spike? I'm looking at the 5-minute chart actually myself.
Yeah, there's a big rise. Yeah,
from
it's just taken off from 2
270
o'clock.
something to 316.
Okay, so maybe there's a new piece of news out that we don't know about. The bad news came out at 7:15. Let's take a look around. If anybody watching knows why CanTrust has suddenly bounced late in the day, we'd love to hear from you because we don't know. And we don't mind if somebody else knows as long as we all find out. But that's a
Very
hazy mystery. What do you think? You got any intel on that?
Not yet. Okay, anyone tell us. It spiked because of technical pattern breaking, Sandeep says.
Oh, really? That's it? A technical pattern breaking. So it's just all technicals trading it. Well, I bet you at this point, seriously, what investors would be honestly looking at CanTrust now and thinking, maybe I should buy some CanTrust as a long-term investment? Probably nobody. So we know that there's no long-term investors looking at the stock anymore, so it's all traders. It's actually up to 370 now.
It's the
up
brave
71
ones.
cents. Oops,
Wow.
no, don't, nope. Can't show that. Sorry. But yeah, anyways, that's what's going on there.
It's very interesting. I'm shocked.
Yeah, it's kind of exciting.
I wasn't expecting to see this.
So what right now, and without talking about any of our clients or sponsors, what are your top cannabis companies right now?
For myself?
Yeah.
I'm watching TrueLeaf right now, so that is something I'm interested in. I've always been interested because I like how they are, performing very well, and they have so many dispensaries open, and Kim Rivers seems to be doing a great job, and I'm standing behind the ladies, so I'm a little biased.
So TrueLeaf is run by, I had no idea that the CEO of TrueLeaf was a
Kim
lady.
Rivers, yes.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Well, we'll have to get her on the show. Tell you what, Nika, you get a hold of her and tell her that you want to interview her. That'll be your first interview on the show.
I'm on it.
All right.
And if anybody, all the people in the chat room want to help me support and, email her too, that'd be awesome. Message her on
wow, look at you pulling in the power of the people.
Yeah, because if more people ask, the more it's powerful. TrueLeaf actually has, on Wednesday, they have financial results, but they have gone down very much because, I don't know, there's some kind of a share unlock going on. Okay, anyways, other than TrueLeaf, I really like Organigram because I like how they're just taking these small but very particular steps to really kind of move ahead, and I like how they're moving. I really like how they're behaving. What they're doing with their 3-tier system, and so I like Organigram.
Have you been out to Organigram's growing facilities?
No.
Well, the next time that we get an invite to visit, we will certainly include you on that trip.
Organigram was my very, very first trade. Very first trade.
Awesome.
So yeah, and it was a great one. But you asked for 5. You told me top 5 companies. So it's TrueLeaf, in no particular order. TrueLeaf, Organigram, I really like Labs and Valence Grow Works.
Oh, okay.
And also I like Weed MD. So I like what they've been doing with their outdoor grow, and I really like the positive energy that has been always kind of radiating from the company. I watch them on Instagram, their posts.
Yeah.
So the
Certainly
CEO
Keith
always
Merker
looks
is a positive
very
individual.
exactly. So I think that's what the positive energy I know brings positive results. Sometimes not as fast as we would like to see them, but sometimes the fast isn't always a good way, right? So that's
agree.
why I like that step by step. I
All
can't
right.
think of any more.
Great.
Yeah, there's so many. I actually really like the story of GTII. It's Green Thumb.
Yes.
So they're from Chicago, and I like what they're doing because they're really supporting the
Okay, you're up to
community.
7 now.
Or 10.
Here's Nika's top 50 cannabis stocks.
Yeah. So okay, we'll leave it there. But that's kind of my my guidance.
On the topic of cannabis stocks, I had a great conversation today with Todd Harrison, who is the founding partner and chief investment officer of CB1 Capital Management. I finally got his name right. I may as well get his company name right finally. And oh, guess what? It's also not from Flushing, New York. He's from Port Washington, New York. Apologies for all of my sequential errors, Todd, but here's a conversation I had with him just a short while ago. Todd Harrison, CEO and founder of CB1 Capital, joins me now. Todd, welcome back.
Thank you.
Todd, it's been a while, and you have always been quite an advocate for the concept of investing in MSOs over Canadian incumbent producers. Does that thesis still hold strong for you?
Well, certainly we think that the regulatory arbitrages, which are still in front of us, have created a valuation disparity between the two complexes. So yes, we think there are better values in the U.S. We think there's more upside in the U.S. The Canadian names have been the only game in town for a long time, particularly the ones that are listed on the U.S. exchanges. So we've seen the valuations reflect that. As always, the names that aren't as trafficked right now will have the better valuation and the better opportunities, and that's where we're sitting.
Right. Do you think that there's been any more sort of attraction to international plays over MSOs at this point, or do the MSOs still trump the international plays as well?
Well, I mean, there's overhang across, all of the complexes. If you look at Canada, the U.S., if you look at CBD, even if you look at the biotech side, there's a reason for people to be cautious here, and we could talk about those if you like. But by and large, we think that this is a cyclical space. We think it's retail driven. It's been a tough summer for the space, but the valuations that we're seeing, particularly on the MSO side, and then we look out to places like Australia. We like a lot of these biotech names that are just starting to come on the scene, and U.S. and some situations in Canada. We still like Village Farms. They report earnings on Monday, but that you have to be selective here. There's a bit of a cleansing going on in the space.
Yeah, you bet. So I'm assuming from what you're saying then that the weakness that we've seen, the midsummer drift, as I like to call it, is just part and parcel of a volatile industry.
Yeah, I mean, to a degree. I mean, it is cyclical. The summer's been painful for the last few years. I think a lot of the retail-driven traders, the audience that's really in this space right now. I mean, it's a retail-dominated market. To be an investor in a retail-dominated market, there's opportunities there. There's also a fair amount of volatility you got to sort through. But certainly, we think that this too shall pass. We think that there's reasons to be optimistic going out. We should see a fair amount of growth in the earnings that are coming up, not necessarily on Canada. We did see some decent numbers out of Canada and some troubling numbers too, but we're looking more at the U.S. space for guidance. And really, we think any sort of movement by the DOJ on some of these U.S. MSOs, the M&A, that's been sort of weighing on the space all summer. You see any movement, whether that's Cresco or an Origin House or any of the other number of deals that are currently being weighed by the DOJ, we think that could serve as a catalyst for the space going forward.
Sure. Do you think the profusion of new opportunities coming to the public markets is causing a degradation in the quality of the market overall?
Well, there's definitely an imbalance. We talked about this a lot. Even before the summer, we talked about all the unlocks that were coming. There's a lot of insider stock that's freeing up. People who invested in these names as private companies are looking at the public listing as a liquidity event. And until such time that you have that marginal buyer, until you have the institutions that can custody these assets and clear these assets, that supply is going to be just incremental, and there's really no marginal buyers. And that's what we've seen. We've seen more sellers than buyers, quite obviously, in size sellers as these unlocks open. But again, this too shall pass. And and if you can sync your time horizon and your risk profile, there are some stocks that that are down 60, 70, 80% in the last few months. Names that maybe we didn't own at a point because we thought were too rich are now coming into valuation ranges that we think are pretty compelling. So again, you can be selective here and understand that there's a fair amount of noise out there. But I've been trading 30 years, my friend, and the news is always best at the top. It's always worst at the bottom, and it's getting pretty loud out there.
Yeah, you bet. Todd, one of the things that I'm following that's got me scratching my head a bit is the proliferation of CBD-oriented deals. And in that, CBD can be readily produced from hemp, and hemp is now legal to grow pretty much everywhere where the state permits it. Do you think that there's a risk that an oversupply of CBD publicly traded entities threatens to weigh on the sector going into the next positive cycle?
I think that's the case, not just for CBD, but you're seeing a lot of paper around the street. You're seeing a lot of companies rushing to get this liquidity and then to use that paper as an acquisition tool to be able to make mergers and acquisitions. And I think the CBD story is the same. There's a lot of brands out there, so we look for things like formulation. We look for things like distribution. There's going to be winners, but there's going to be a lot of losers too. We'll use the parallel again from the .com bubble and bust. There's going to be Facebooks, there's going to be Friendsters, and there's going to be MySpaces. So you got to do your work, but there are good companies out there, and there are good brands out there for that matter. And if you can do the work and you can be patient, I think you're gonna pick up some good finds here.
Mm-hmm. I've seen a lot of the financial reporting by the larger companies have been replete with the use of the word adjusted, which when you talk about metrics in financial statements and you elect to use the word adjusted, you immediately disqualify them from being compliant with GAAP and or IFRS. To what extent, in your opinion, does that quality of financial reporting put a cloud over the whole sector?
I mean, it's yet another obstacle for this space. I mean, the trust obstacle, or the trust concerns, I should say, from CanTrust. I'm thinking of as I say this, and then the integrity of the numbers. Certainly, from an institutional standpoint, you need to have a firm grasp on that. When the big boys come in, they want real companies, numbers that they can trust more than ever, right? I mean, we're going to see more and more, of those who have been faking it till they make it. I think you're going to see a lot more of those emerge. You're going to see a lot more bad actors in the space. There are a lot of bad actors in the space, and you're going to see that come out in the wash. But again, if this is a secular bull market and one that we think is going to phase from cultivation to CPG to synthetics, biosynthetics, industrial sustainable solutions like biofuels, hempcrete, plastic composites, and ultimately medicine or efficacy-driven solutions on the back end. Remember that as the flower, as continents come online, as Australia and Africa and all these continents come online, and the price of the flower goes down, that's going to be accretive to margins to anybody that's using cannabis as an ingredient. And that's lost on a lot of people. That's like Budweiser complaining about the price of wheat going down. It's going to be accretive to margins. It's going to be helpful when your input costs go down. So all of this is going to play through. I don't think the winners necessarily are going to be the ones that a lot of people thought, the growers, the cultivators. I think that side of the business gets commoditized, but I think the end products and the use cases on the back end are going to surprise just about everyone.
Sure. The sector generally has lost, call it 50% of its value since the highs experienced just after April. To what extent do you think that the industry could come back in the last quarter of this year, assuming that there are some positive sector-wide catalysts? Like, do you think it's been devalued, excessively to this level, or do you think this is about right, or do you think it's got a chance to bounce back to at least 50%? Like, what are your thoughts on that?
It's a market of stocks, not a stock market. Not to be cagey with the answer, but there's a lot of overcapacity. And if you're going to use the .com analogy, where you want to own the quality and short the quantity, or own the quality and avoid the quantity, a lot of these companies aren't capitalized to make it to the other side. So a lot of them aren't going to make it. The ones that do are going to see generational opportunities, and those are the ones that we're going to try to focus on. But to say cannabis, as a monolithic entity, I don't think is going to necessarily prove true going forward. I think you're going to see the winners and the sinners separate, and you're going to see a lot of companies go away, and the ones that win are going to do quite well.
You bet. Todd, as usual, a fountain of great information. I enjoy talking to you every time. I look forward to talking to you again soon. Thanks for joining me.
Thank you. Thank you.
Let's talk about Aurora. Recently, your financials, you've more or less delivered on.
Here are the headlines moving markets today.
If you're lucky to buy it 3 days ago at 37 cents,
and I think it has a lot to do with some of these smaller names giving really.
Recreational cannabis is here. It's quite dry. So I'm going to eliminate the stocky bits. Yeah, don't forget to hit that little dingy-ding ring bell up there on the top right of your screen. Is that right? No, that's right. Is this right? That's right. Right? Either there. Hit
It's
those
all right.
or touch that. What am I pointing at? I don't know. Anyways, Todd Harrison, as I mentioned, I just want to make sure there's no doubt that Todd Harrison is the Chief Investment Officer and founding partner of CB1 Capital Management. If you don't believe me, go to their website at www.cb1cap.com. Thank you. What's going on? The end of week, end of day, Halo Labs is on fire. Obviously, the great results, all the partnerships they're announcing are starting to have an effect on the mindsets of individuals. Obviously, they are our client, and I don't own any shares of Halo, and nor do anybody who works here, so let's just make that very clear. But yeah, let's take a look at, where was it? The hell? Okay, so let's talk about the market movers today on the TSX Venture. Oxley was at the top of that heap. They traded just over 6 million shares and lost 14%, down to 87 cents. After announcing that $123 million investment from Imperial Brands, it doesn't seem that any of these great catalysts can really carry the day for any of these companies.
Well, it seems like the news, like we had the earnings report that were good and the stocks didn't move, so it's very strange.
Lucky Minerals was the third biggest trader on the TSX Venture, trading 4.8 million shares. LKY is the symbol. Martello Technologies, that's Bruce Linton's other technology company that he's the chairman of. MTLO is the symbol, shed 8 cents, closed at 39 cents on 2.8 million shares. Tetro Biopharma put in a 3-cent gain to 38 cents today on 2.5 million shares. That's on the TSX Venture. Now on the CSE, the big traders, let's see, American Pacific, USGD is the symbol, is the company. USGD is the symbol, traded 1.8 million shares, up a penny to 19 cents. That's a gold deal. Agriflora Organics is up, or down rather, a penny to 29 cents. World Class Extracts, Pump, put on half a penny to close at 12.5 cents. I actually sold out the last of my position on that today at 12 cents. So I could have made another half penny, but big deal. Nabis Holdings up 2 cents to 27.5. That's on the CSE universe. And in the TSX universe, let's see here. What's the holdup here? Come on, guys. What's going on? Anyways, it's taking too long to load. So, B2 Gold. All the gold guys are starting to make moves. B2 Gold traded 6.1 million shares, last at 486, down 17 cents. In Canada's natural gas company, up 11 cents to 569. Bombardier The Canada's favorite corporate welfare case is down 5 cents to $1.81. And CanTrust Holdings, against all odds, is tacked on 81 cents, now 80 cents, is trading at $3.79. 4.7 million shares. How the hell does that happen?
That's what makes this industry so exciting. We just never know what's going to happen.
Yeah, it makes no sense. Like, who the hell's buying this except obviously technical traders who have now bid it up to 380. Does that mean it's going to have the shorts come in?
But that would have to be a lot of technical traders to do that kind of a move, no?
Well, I don't know, Nika. Maybe short covers? Who knows? I don't know. Anybody got an opinion on that? I don't know anything.
Let's see.
We know nothing. We only know what the news tells us. Let's have a shout out to all of our loyal listeners here.
Yes, they're so awesome. Shevet's here. She's awesome, and she's a vet.
She's a vet. She-vet.
She's really awesome. She's always
do you actually know her in person?
No.
Really?
But we're friends.
Just on your virtual friends.
Oh, yeah. Carl Bowden is here. Compound Interest Stock Guy is here. Ivan Black, Reefer Al Joint, Faye. Who else do we see here?
Faye Smith has got to be one of our most loyals.
Yes, I have to shout out Rav, ACB, CGC on Twitter, and also Drew Knight has been really a fan of the show.
Oh, so cool.
Got to shout them out.
All right, and I'm going to say a big hello to Donnie Greco, who's one of our staunch followers. Where the hell? I saw him. Where'd he go? Oh, he's out for a beer because it's Friday. He's not even here today. I take it back. Unshout out. Shout in.
He'll watch later, maybe.
Maybe. No, he only ever watches when he's watching. He doesn't. He's not an after the fact watcher guy. I don't think.
It is so much fun to watch it live, for sure.
Yeah. So let's see. What do you think is going to happen come September across the whole sector? Do you think the end of this summer slide that has taken 50% off the whole industry since April is going to continue in September? Or do you get the sense that come September, that's when everybody rolls up their sleeves, gets back to work, there's going to be a lot of catalysts, the rising tide will start to lift all boats again?
I can only speak from my gut feeling, my intuition, and I have a feeling that maybe September might be just a little bit delayed. We're all expecting September to be such a pop and such a rise, and usually when we're all expecting something, what happens then, right? It doesn't.
The opposite.
Well, maybe not exactly the opposite, but I think it might be more of like that whack-a-mole situation will increase where certain companies will start popping up very nicely and maybe interchanging. So how we've been seeing like certain companies go up, then the other ones go down. And then the next week, the ones that were down go up, and then the ones that were up go down. So that kind of a seesaw action. But I think there will be a lot more volume. It has to be. There's so many earnings reports. There's a lot happening. There's all these new partnerships, all these new deals with all the drinks. We're anticipating the edibles to be soon.
Yeah.
Hopefully soon, happening. So with all the drink deals, like we have that Arizona deal with Dixie brands, and Dixie has been doing very well. So I think it's just going to be kind of a separation. It won't be like the whole market, like that the tide moving all the boats. That might not be happening, but I think it's going to be positive. Yeah. It definitely has to be positive.
All right, taking a look at the S&P 500 to close out the week in the last 3 minutes of trading. Today has seen it put on quite a good performance, opened the day up at about 28.84 and is now trading at, it's down slightly. This is the intraday, broken up into hours. What an idiot I am. Don't agree too fast out there, but basically it dropped today and put on, more or less spent the rest of the afternoon recovering, and that's interesting. I've noticed that the price of gold has more or less sort of taken a pause, down just below 1,500 to 1,496 at this time. I think next week, though, did you catch this surprise move by the Central Bank of New Zealand where they cut the benchmark rate by 0.5% and was followed suit by Singapore? I think that they got a call from whatever cabal that is that sort of cooperates on managing our perceptions. I think they
there
all
you
got
go.
together and said, you and you cut rates because we can't cut ours any further, but you mark my words, negative U.S. rates are coming. And gold, I'm going to go
Will
out on a limb and
continue?
say, can you imagine a world we live in where gold is actually trading at $14,000 an ounce?
Wow.
Yeah, I'm working on an article whereby I am going to make a, hopefully, somewhat cogent argument for the fundamental reasons why gold is not only likely to go to $14,000 an ounce, but has no choice but to go to $14,000 an ounce. And I'll look forward to hearing from you, the live studio audience, as to whether or not you agree. And but I think there's been a fundamental shift in the conditions of the global financial network, the global financial universe, actually. And I think that things are about to turn around in a big way. So watch gold. Start looking at gold juniors, gold mid tiers.
Yes.
The large caps have already made their move, which is what tends to support the idea that this is a major inflection point in the gold trading pattern. And like right now, even in our chat group, Matthew Bradshaw says gold, U.S. dollars dead. So people are starting to like that. Compound interest stock guy says, I agree. Well, $14,000 is pretty bold. You need all the cryptos to turn to gold and silver.
Well, you never know.
Now, that's actually a fundamental aspect of my argument for why gold is going to go to $14,000, because the reality is that the artifice in our systems, in other words, we have learned to trust data over the last 10 years. But data and data systems, we have learned as a result of cryptocurrencies, are fraught with risk and are not to be relied upon. If it's electronic, it can be interfered with. If it's code, it can be broken.
Yes.
This is why, and all of these people, all of the kids who have rushed to cryptocurrencies are going to have to eat a little bit of humble pie and admit that Bitcoin, Ethereum, all these things do not have a future except in a world where fantasy prevails, and that world where even the fantasy that cryptos could be legitimate currency is coming to an end. And I think gold is going to school you all. And I'm saying it here today, but this is going to happen. This is a 5-year shift that's just starting now. And you all are going to hopefully remember that you heard it here first. Gold, $14,000 within 2 years. That's what I'm calling. Anyways, Carl Bowden says to $14,000 in the year 3020. Okay, so there's a more conservative look at when gold gets to $14,000. I'm saying within 2 years. Anyways, have a good weekend, everybody. That's our show for today. Please don't forget to hit the little bell in the upper right-hand corner. I forget it's reverse on TV World. And we'll see you next week. Thanks for joining us.
See ya.